Hello, everyone. So many familiar and new faces. This is awesome. Welcome, welcome. We're really glad to have you. We have a big crowd. We've got 46 people. This is fantastic. If you know how, would you please, there's a few of you I know, but if you would just put after, if you would rename yourself with your organization name, pronouns if you want, but organization name after your name, that would be really helpful, I think, to folks in the room and to us to get a better sense. And we'll get going really quickly. We're not gonna, those of you who know trainings with Madison, and I know we sometimes do icebreakers and all that kind of fun stuff, but we are not gonna do that today. We're gonna jump right in and welcome you. And this is to give you further information about what this request for information, this RFI is that we have put out, who we are, what we're doing, and give you information just to give you a little lay of the land. If there are questions that we've already answered or contained in the PowerPoint, things like that, we will clarify, repeat happily. If they are new questions that we haven't already addressed, we will be collecting those and posting them to the to our website. That is because we legally need to give all of the same information to everybody. And so we want to make sure we're covering that and giving equal access to everyone to get answers to all questions. So just to know that if that feels a little awkward, that's what's going on there. We will make sure that we get information to all of you. And thank you, Randall Sims, pointing out independent consultant. We very much welcome independent consultants. So if you are not associated with an organization, if you know how to rename yourself, you can just say independent in parentheses. If not, lots of you are dropping it in the chat, which is also great. Okay, I think we can get in and do a couple of intros. So Anna Lee Maxwell Coates is our contract manager. So if you apply to this RFI and are awarded or deemed as part of our larger contracts and we reach out to you, Anna Lee Maxwell Coates is the person who handles our contracts. She's helped us with this process, and huge shout out to her. On the bottom there is me, Erica Feldman, Director of Program Implementation. I know some of you from different roles I've played here at PYN, and then I'll kick it over to Madison to introduce herself, who has really led this process for us.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Madison Helmick. I'm the project manager of continuous improvement at PYN. I support our provider network with exactly what we're talking about today. Different supports that help improve the quality of programming that our providers are doing, which ranges from resource sharing to trainings to professional development to continuous improvement work. And so some of you might be familiar with some of that and some of you might be new, and we sort of welcome everyone here. Great to see you all.
It is so exciting to see so many programs that we work with or haven't worked with. So just welcome to everyone in the room. And we're going to go through just a little bit about PYN for anybody who's not at all familiar with PYN. The purpose of an RFI and really distinguishing between an RFI and an RFP, which I think most of you are probably familiar with. Madison is going to dig into the real details of the submission process. What do you need to do? By when? How do you need to do it? All of that. And then we will take questions. And like I said, a lot of those we will be collecting and sharing to our website, and we'll make sure that you all have access to that. So moving along. So PYN is a solutions builder forging together significant players to alleviate, that's all of you, to alleviate a root cause of poverty by preparing 12 to 24-year-olds to become productive working adults. Those of you who know our work, it's E3, Work Ready, the OST network, the Work Ready school year, along with special projects and pilots that we get involved with along the way. So we can go to the next one. and our vision to alleviate poverty and inequity through education and employment. And training facilitators play a big role in this. Our network of providers who run programs obviously do as well, but in providing continuous improvement and professional development to our network of providers, we're really helping build people's skill set and ability to do their best work, which is how we achieve our vision. No, this is, so to Margot Ross, this is focused on across our entire portfolio of programs. So a lot of times we contract with outside consultants and vendors to do trainings for our E3 WIOA TANF network, for Work Ready Summer, Work Ready School Year. This is not specific to any particular PYN program. It is for all PYN programming. At any time that a need arises, we want to know who's out there providing these services and who might we want to contact. Our impact, I'll give you all just a moment. I think this is one better digested independently, so I'll just give you 30 seconds or so to take a peek. And to just highlight, we are increasingly focused on serving those who have the least access traditionally to programming. And we determine that through involvement in different systems like DHS, juvenile justice, through zip codes. So we really look to prioritize and give access to youth who are most in need of our programming. So to the next one. So into the real content. I'll let Madison handle that most recent chat about a link. The purpose of this request for information, again, not a proposal, is to identify consultants, either organizations or individuals, to support our provider network via professional development and resources. So very clearly, we want to make sure everybody knows this can be an independent consultant or an organization. It can be somebody we've worked with or somebody we have not. If we have worked with you previously, this is our new approach and you need to do this to remain part of our universe of vendors that we're working with. If you are new, welcome. We're always looking to expand. But again, this is not to write a proposal for a specific offering. This is to become part of our network. So I'm going to pause there just to make sure everybody feels really clear about that. It's very different than an RFP, but it sounds very similar. So if that doesn't feel clear, let's make sure we're all on the same page before Madison digs into the details. So you can use a annotate, you can use the chat, you can raise your hand.
Are we allowed to speak?
Yes, please. Thank you, Michelle.
Good day, everyone. So it sounds to me that you're not looking for us to send you prices and specifics to our program. You want us to send you an introduction of what we offer and how it may impact your students. Is that correct?
Wonderful. Yes, we do ask for a financial piece, and that is more around typical rates versus I am offering that I will run this training series for this cost. But as a vendor, this is my hourly rate, or here is how I cost out projects. I charge this much for my preparation, this much for my delivery, those kinds of how do you budget and plan in that way, but not a specific proposal, not a specific project or a specific cost. Good. Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate that. All right, I think we're over to you, Madison.
Awesome. Thanks, Erica. So we're going to jump into some of the specifics of the RFI process so that you all can feel really prepared to sort of what this looks like. So Erica talked about our general overall goal which is to identify folks who can provide support to our provider network through either professional development or resource building or those sorts of things. The example topic areas that we're sort of looking for, but this is not a limited list. So you might be an expert in a topic that is not represented here, and we still encourage you to apply. However, these are topic areas that we are looking for experts in. So things like trauma-informed care, disability inclusion, GED best practices, financial literacy, recruitment and outreach, high-quality internships. These are sort of the things listed in the RFI that we're specifically looking for. But again, not an exclusive list. If you have other areas of expertise, please, that you think would benefit our provider network, please let us know. Some important dates to keep in mind, we are going to be doing 2 rounds. The first round deadline is December 15th. That's by 5 p.m. And everything should be sent to that contracts@pyninc.org email. That's Anna Lee, our contract manager, and she will be collecting all of the RFI applications. That round 1 award notice date will be on or before January 31st. If you choose to submit during round 2 submission closing date is January 14th, same thing by 5 p.m. And round 2 award notice date is going to be on or before February 28th. So definitely keep these in mind. These will be the only 2 rounds to apply in this RFI process during this fiscal year, and we'll sort of determine our approved vendor list moving forward. So keep that in mind. The application package. So this is broken out in more detail in the RFI itself. So I highly encourage everyone goes and looks at that document. But just sort of a quick overview. We will have a provided template that you can use. We encourage you to use it. You do not have to use it. If you choose to do your own, these are sort of the elements that we're asking you to include. Starting with a company or individual profile. Experience consulting on similar projects and the results of those projects, experience with quality programming for youth and young adults, topic areas of the ones listed, or if it's an additional topic area, identifying that, and as Erica mentioned, your standard rates. So how do you typically cost out projects? This is not an RFP, this is not a contract. So we're not negotiating that at this time. We're just looking to ask you to give us an idea of what your rates are typically like. And then we ask everyone to attach at least 1 letter of reference from someone that you have completed a similar project for. That is sort of the application package itself. The template is not yet on the website. It will be posted tomorrow with our Q&A document. So that's something to keep an eye out for. Erica, I'm seeing a lot of questions in the chat. I'm wondering if I should pause and take any of those, or.
I was just gonna hop in with that.
Okay.
A number of them I am noting for our document that we will post to the website. But I do want to call out a couple. One asked if they could add a pricing sheet matrix as an attachment to further answer the question on pricing, and I answered absolutely yes. Just in case somebody is not looking at the chat, that would be great. It shows us your standard rates and how you do pricing. Another one I would call out is somebody asked for the email. We're going to be sending this, so you will get it. We'll share the PowerPoint. Another person, this was a great question, asking about that we focus on work readiness if they have experience in the areas mentioned in the RFI, but it does not directly lead to jobs or internships. Is that okay? That question made me recognize that the audience for your trainings can be either providers who serve youth or youth. And you should clarify if you do one or the other or both. These do not need to lead to jobs. This is ways of building the skill and expertise of our young people and our provider network that serves them. This is not a program. This is not information about programs that lead to jobs for young people. We do have an expanding partnerships RFI up, and that is about an offer to run a program. And those would need to lead to that kind of preparation for young people. This is vendors who are providing professional development, continuous improvement for young people and providers. So I just want to make that sure that's super clear. And in your proposal, you should identify your target audience. And then there was one more. I saw from, I think I'm pronouncing correctly, Marina, I hope so. Would see attached work, or would you prefer more narrative? I am going to put that into our question sheet so that Madison and I can discuss with our finance team what they prefer. Same to Jessica. We will take that. If you've worked with us, can we be your reference? So we'll look into that, collecting that. And then Madison, I think from Kate Rivera, hi Kate, for the topic developing resources and tools, are you looking for vendors to provide training on how to develop tools and resources? Or are you looking for vendors to develop tools and resources? So I'll kick that over to you, Madison.
Sure. We added that with the idea that you would be the one providing or developing resources and tools for our provider network. If you feel that an additional support you can provide the provider network is helping them to develop their own resources and tools, we'd love to hear about that idea. But that was added with the idea of you as the vendor developing the resources and tools. And I wanted to address, Jess had a second question about, can we add other attachments? Yes, we encourage you to add other attachments. Anything that you think will add to the strength of your application, feel free to add as an attachment. Okay, and then I saw one question about if there is no specific RFP or program in this process, what does the award notice consist of? The award notice consists of notification that you have been added to what is called our approved vendor list. And so basically that means that as an approved vendor, you can be called upon to be asked to participate in a future project if and when, a need and or funding becomes available for us. And so this is sort of like step one, RFI request for information, letting us, know, hey, I can provide this service. If approved, you'll be added to that list. It does not guarantee a future project with PYN. That is all dependent on budget and need, but you'll be sort of approved for us to call upon you. Great.
Here's another one I'll call out from Mike Leslie. Yes, you can apply for the expanding partnerships, which is a program proposal, and to this. If you do both, great. You can apply independently to both.
And then I see a question about the page limit. Page limit does not include cover letter and does not include attachments. So that's just for the items that we've outlined in the RFI application process or package, sorry, RFI application package. Awesome. So I am going to move over to our scoring criteria. This is not a competitive scoring process, so you will not be vetted against other applications. All proposals that meet the minimum threshold score of 75% will be approved. So 75% means that you have, across 3 reviewers, obtained a score of 75 out of 100. And the points sort of break down into these 3 sections here. So 70 points will be for qualifications and relevant experience. 20 points will be for quality, completeness, and thoughtfulness of the application itself. And fit and capacity will be 10 points. So that's just a little bit about how our scoring breaks down. And that adds up to 100 points. All applications that receive 75 points or more, and that will be averaged across 3 reviewers. will be approved and added to our approved vendor list. I see a hand up, and I think, please speak more about how you define capacity. I'm wondering if we should add that to our list. What we have on the slide is technical and administrative capacity. So that's to deliver on the needs that you are letting us know you have the capacity to deliver on. So technical capacity in terms of like, I have the resources I need, and administrative capacity, I have the people I need for that.
I'm going to answer Peggy's question. What is the age range of the population to be served? For young people, we work with 12 to 24. So any youth-facing trainings or materials would be for 12 to 24, which is obviously a big range that means very different things, but that is our range. Again, though, our audience is often the adult providers who work at the nonprofit organizations that serve our young people. That is often who our audience is. So youth facing would be 12 to 24. If it's a provider facing training, then whatever age they are. So very open.
Great. I also see a hand up. I apologize. I think this hand has been up for a little bit. Whitney Blunden.
Good morning. Just
Good
wanted to
morning.
know how many times, since there's 2 times of submission, how many times can you apply?
That's a great question. We'll answer that one in our Q&A document. Erica,
Yep.
if you wouldn't mind.
I'm adding that too.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Yes.
No problem.
And just to call out, to reinforce something Madison said about this puts you on our approved vendor list. You might be calling to our attention something that we should be offering to our providers or young people, and we are not. So that's another benefit of this. Historically, we have gone out looking for consultants, trainers, experts in the field, provide the kinds of trainings that we feel will benefit our young people and our provider network. But there's things we're not aware of. And you may be an expert in something and have experience that tells you how valuable it is, and you put that on our radar, and then we see a value for it. And if you are on our approved vendor list, then we're aware of you, and through the internal processes, we are able to reach out to you to see if you are interested. At that point, we talk about scopes of work and money and all of that. But you are bringing to our attention your skill and expertise across the list of things that Madison listed, but also things that we might not be aware of that are in fact a need in our network. So just keep that in mind. You can tell us that you are able to provide across a range of topics, or maybe you are a specialist in one particular thing, and that's all of that is fine.
Thanks, Erica. I
We
see
have another hand up.
Yep.
Ibrahim, if you want.
Hi, I'm sorry. This is Eritrea Abdulhadi. I'm wanting to know a question. Within the budgeting, do we offer staffing, the pricing, when we're adding on the pricing list, paying our staff? Is that something that we can add into it?
So typically, a lot of a budget for this sort of thing would be staff time. Because again, this is not to run youth programming. If anybody on this call thought that they were joining a call about proposals or information to run youth programming, that is our expanding partnerships RFI, which is up on our website. So typically these types of projects will involve paying an organization or an independent contractor to provide training, which is typically staff time. There may be some materials involved or something or whatnot, however you budget out, or travel or whatnot. But Most of our things are virtual now, but there might be other things in your budget, but most of the budget would typically be staff time for preparation and training delivery.
Great.
Okay, great. Thank you for clearing that up.
Yes, you're welcome.
Okay, awesome. I'm seeing some questions that are asking about preference, and I just want to clarify that we have no preference for who submits an application. And what that application consists of, that's sort of up to you to let us know what you're an expert in, what you can bring to our provider network. And you will be scored along with everyone else with the same rubric. So anything having to do with preference, I wouldn't stress about that. Just let us know what you can do and we will assess. Great. So moving forward, some example deliverables if you are awarded a future contract. So this would be post being approved as a vendor on our list, and then a project becomes available, we reach out to you. And at that point, we would develop a contract with you. So some example deliverables, it might not look the same for everyone, but you might design training content and resources on one of the topics we mentioned. You might partner with PYN staff to schedule and facilitate that training, facilitate the training and deliver the resources, and then work with us to sort of share out any resources. So that's sort of like the nature of the work that might occur.
Madison, we have one more great question in the chat.
Great.
Answering now, which is, can you define provider network? You're probably all sort of familiar with that. When you're at an organization, you start to use lingo that you stop recognizing as lingo. When we say provider network, we mean the 100 or so nonprofit organizations in Philly that PYN contracts with to deliver services to young people. So we have 7 provider organizations that work with our E3 services. Those serve older youth on getting GEDs and next steps in their career and educational pathways. We have a work ready school year program. We work with the city on an out of school time programs and delivering services for those instructors. And then we of course have work ready summer. Across those 4 sort of program models, we work with about 100 different nonprofit organizations in Philadelphia, all of whom have more than one staff member. So when we say our provider network, that's what we mean. If Madison and I identify that there is a need to prepare our out of school time staff for a certain topic, we might look to somebody on this approved vendor list. If we would like to offer our summer work ready providers financial empowerment trainings for their young people to attend, we might look to this approved vendor list. So as we see training needs for the young people who participate in PYN contracted programs, or for the providers who run PYN contracted programs, we look to vendors to do that, to provide outside expertise. And we are looking to expand the list of folks that we work with and what they do. And so that's what this process is. We're essentially building our Rolodex, but in a more modern way.
Yes, and so this is partnering with external folks to provide trainings and professional development and supports in this way to our provider network is not new for PYN. We're just sort of changing the way that we go about identifying folks that we'd like to work with. And so this is the first step in that process.
And if an organization participated as a provider in Summer Work Ready, they were a provider, if they still have that contract, and they still are part of our provider network. And you are eligible to participate to become a vendor to deliver this sort of professional development and continuous improvement. That is separate than delivering your Summer Work Ready program to young people. So those are 2 separate things.
Great.
John Hattery, I am going to put that in. That shows up in our contracting documents. And I do not, that is very specific language that PYN uses. And I do not want to get that wrong, but that question of, in the event that a consultant creates a training for PYN, who would own the resulting work product, we have lawyer developed and approved language in our contracts on that, and we will answer that with the correct language. And so I don't want to botch that up. So thank you for understanding.
I see a question from Anna about, is there a minimum number or required frequency for the trainings that would need to be provided? We don't have detailed information on that. That would all sort of be determined on a vendor by vendor basis in your contracting process with us.
I think we're caught up in the chat. If you feel that you have asked something and we haven't said on our list or answered it, feel free to put it in the chat or raise your hand. I'm looking to see if there's any hands raised. It's so nice that so many of you are on camera. It is great to see faces. I'm just double checking for hands raised. Yes, Rachel Judith Howe, go ahead.
I like that you use my middle name. We do a lot of capacity building for nonprofits. Is this specifically training around topics that would be used within youth programming, or is there room to apply to be expert in helping these smaller organizations develop more capacity building skills as well?
I'm going to add that. Good. Go ahead, Madison.
I was just going to say, that's a great question, and I'm going to add that to our Q&A document.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Michelle Snow has asked, how has COVID impacted whether the services are typically online or hybrid? Madison and I have been doing most of our training and most of our contracted work in an online environment because it tends to be larger groups, and that has not been something where things have come back together, back in person as much. Historically, we did, I would say, a mixture, but leaned more on heavily in person. For now, we are majority doing our training online. And I would say the majority of our providers who are delivering services to young people are majority in person. So you can address this in your proposal.
Are they all live typically, or are there opportunities for downloaded pre-designed material?
There could be, if that is what you have to offer, you can share that that is something you have to offer. And again, as needs emerge, we will have this approved vendor list and what the vendor is offering. And when we have a need, we will go back and search for, we would like a pre-designed downloadable digital option to share with our young people. Who's offering that? And we will look through that approved vendor list to see who might be the best fit for that. Does that answer that? Okay, great. Eric Grimes.
Yeah, on the virtual question, I'm wondering, oftentimes people automatically use Zoom. If you have a custom or proprietary platform that you're already using to deliver your trainings, can that be considered, or do we have to do it by way of Zoom or the typical popular platforms?
No, and I would highlight that you have something different and why that's a value add.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for the question. Power of Paint Art Academy, I love that. Would you be interested in things like logistics support, social media marketing, or conflict resolution or trauma-informed teacher trainings? All of those are potential fit the type of criteria we have set. Yes. I think one thing that is emerging that I want to make sure to encourage you all to be very clear in the materials you turn in. Who is your audience and what type of, is it virtual? Is it in person? Can it be either? Are you speaking to the adults who run the programming? Are you speaking to the young people? Whether it's virtual, in person, digital, is this a training that adults running the programs would download and take? Is it something to deliver to young people? To be very clear about who your audience is and what your method of delivery or methods of delivery are. So that when we're reading it, we don't have a question about that. I think conflict resolution is what brought that up. Is that a staff training to support the adults running these programs? Is that directed at youth? Is it both? To just be very, very clear in what you write up so that when we read it, we know who your audience is and what your method of delivery is. Yes. Kristen, Britt, inspire me to something. It gets cut off for me, but go ahead.
It's inspired me to change.
Oh, wonderful.
So no, I just wanted to know, are organizations able to request vendors if they have a particular training that they feel like they need or want? Are they able to request vendors off of the approved vendor list?
Let me ask a follow-up to get clear on that. Do you mean the providers that we work with? Could they come to us and say, hey, Madison, hey, Erica, we would like a training in this?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, we encourage them to do that. I will say candidly, they rarely do, but we like that. We would like them to identify their needs. We certainly don't have an endless budget or an endless amount of time, so we will have to prioritize, but we encourage the folks who run PYN supported programs to reach out to Madison and I to request where they feel like they need support in addition to the things that we offer or require.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for that question.
So just wanted to add on to Kirsten's comments. Does that mean that a lot of the providers, we technically could be sharing resources to each other?
Do you mean that among yourselves?
Yeah, something like that. I thought like, some of the topics that this person may have of like, oh, this is really good. I feel like this could be something that I should be learning or I should know more. I thought that would be really good.
Yeah, I mean, you are all welcome to network and work with each other for sure. I don't know that currently PYN is facilitating that conversation, but that is not to say, I mean, that's wonderful. There's a lot of wisdom in the room, so the more we can network and share, the better.
Thank you.
Thank you for that question.
I see a question in the chat about how many vendors are you looking for? We're not looking for a specific number. All applicants who pass that threshold score will be added to our approved vendor list. And I also want to just make a note about questions. Any questions that have been asked previously to Annalie via the contracts email have been recorded in our Q&A document. All the questions brought up today will be recorded in the Q&A document. If you have additional questions after today's session, you can send those via email by the end of the day today, but we can't guarantee that after that, they will be added to our Q&A document. So just letting folks know about the timeline of questions. You want to get those in by the end of the day or ask now.
Or ask now. And that is a federal regulation on how we spend our money. And so we are doing that not to be difficult, but to comply with federal laws about how we use the money that we are granted. So that is why it is so strict. And we have to be very, very careful that everybody has access to the same information so that it is truly a fair process. In terms of sending the info to become a work-ready site, when there is an opportunity, right now we are in the middle of a contracted 3-year cycle. Summer 22 is the 3rd year of that cycle. When information becomes available to apply for the next cycle, which will be 23, 24, and 25, that will be available on our website. So I really encourage you, if you're less familiar with PYN, to spend some time on our website. There's a lot of information there, and that'll help you understand. PYN is an intermediary, which until I worked at an intermediary, I didn't know what that meant. It is a complicated role. And so it can be difficult to understand what PYN does and what our role is if you're not already familiar with us. So I would spend some time on our website because you can glean a lot of information. And Madison just shared in the chat, she'll post the slides from this session to the website, and that'll allow you to zoom in on different things and take notes and all of that. And then the proposal and other resources on how to become a provider RFI, this document you can see there.
Mike, I saw you had your hand up, but I think it just went down.
Yeah, quick question, in regards to the budget, pricing matrix would be helpful for you, listing out rates and everything we have to offer. Once you have that and you grant your awards out to whoever you feel appropriate, do you kind of dictate actually what you want out of that pricing matrix, or do you actually select what you want, or do we kind of help you in that in any way? Does that make sense?
That's a very good question. So that gives us a sense of how you budget and contract and what your costs are. If we saw a need for the type of service that you provide, we would reach out. And at that point, it would become a collaborative process to develop a scope of work and agree on a budget. But if, say, your pricing matrix would guide what would be possible in that scope of work development for us, given our constraints and that sort of thing. So it allows us to work with you to develop work based on what you've shared with us on how you price and budget and charge. But you, if you were contacted, would be part of a collaborative scope of work development process.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I saw, Rachel, thanks for your comment about the links. I think you're talking about the website. We did launch a brand new website very, very recently. It's possible that everything has been migrated to the new site, and that's why your links were dead. If there's something specific you're looking for, feel free to send me a direct message and I can try to get you the new link. Sorry about that.
I think Mariana's question, Madison, about typical timeline for scope of work development to implementation is one that we'll put on our Q&A sheet. One thing we're hoping is to reduce that time by already having an approved set of vendors rather than needing on the front end to go through that process, so that when we identify a need, essentially the folks who have met that threshold score are pre-approved for us to go into a scope of work development process rather than working through the steps to get them approved. So we're hoping it speeds it up, but I will add that and we can look back at some of our records and see what we might be able to share on that.
Great. Ibrahim, I see your hand raised. Is this, I know you had a question before, just want to check if this is a new question.
This is a new question. I wanted to know, once the vendor or facilitators are approved, if they're approved for the program, how long are you in as a provider? And do you have to renew, like at a certain point, to do this reapplication? Is there like a process that way?
Yes, we will add that to our list of Q&A. It is detailed in the RFI itself. I can't remember the specific dates offhand, so I don't want to misquote that, but we will get the correct information for you in the Q&A document.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Other questions?
And thank you for alerting us about the website. We will look into that. As Madison said, it is new. And so
Yes.
sometimes there are unexpected issues.
It's the career development framework. I sent Madison the link.
I'm looking at our new site now to see if I can find you an updated link. But yeah, we definitely want to make sure that is on the website. That is
Yes.
Erica's baby. She created that.
And we have no additional content, so you are welcome to sign off if you don't have any further questions or comments. Any question asked from now on will be captured in our document and on the website. So I know how many folks run back to back, and if you can have 10 minutes to yourself, that can be very helpful. So you won't miss anything. You're welcome to stay on if you have a question.
Hi, I have a quick question. I think you mentioned that there's a template for the RFI. Is it just that PDF?
It's not posted yet. We're posting it after the information session to make it fair to all. And so that will be posted sometime tomorrow, sometime later this week, hopefully by tomorrow.
Okay, and then it's due on the 15th, so that's a week from tomorrow?
Correct.
Okay, using that template. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for that question.
I'm also curious. So out of so I'm not sure if it's anything that PYN would be interested, but personally, I thought that would you guys be maybe there's some conversations about how to have more languages, is some of the youth where they already raised in a bilingual or trilingual environment, it is so important. I mean, I'm pretty lucky that my parents, we grew up bilingual. It wasn't the best, I went to Central, we took Chinese class. And then when I got into workforce, I started working with more of, people in my community. And I start to realize, man, there's so much we could do with our language. And I just feel like a lot of the youth are not really acknowledging or not really noticing. Of course, then later on, when they hit their 30s, I'm like, man, I wish I had another language. We literally just had a reunion. And I'm like, I have so much resources for people who are speaking multiple languages because there's huge need, but we didn't know the importance until like much years later. And it's a little bit too late.
Well, I'm sorry to cut you off. I think this is why we're doing this process, is so that people who are thinking about what the needs in our community are can put together descriptions of what they have expertise in and what they're able to offer. And then that will get reviewed. And as Madison said, and I think it's worth repeating, this is not a competitive process in that 10 of you will become part of our vendor network and the rest of you won't. It could be that theoretically all of you do. We certainly will not be contracting with everyone because we do not have that time, capacity, or budget. But if you have something to offer that you think benefits either the providers running program that PYN funds or the young people participating in those programs, put that together, describe that to us, follow all the requirements, and that will get reviewed. So this is not a place where we can talk through ideas and what we would or wouldn't accept, but certainly capitalize on what your expertise is and what your knowledge of the needs in our community are, and put that together.
Got it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. This is a good question. From Eric Grimes. I am not aware of a requirement, but I don't want to speak out of turn, and I have added it to the list. So thank you for
that. Okay. Any final burning questions that folks have?
I'm too sexy.
Okay, is that a question?
I was having a flashback.
Okay, great.
Wonderful. Thank you all. You will see materials on our website, as Madison said, by the end of the week, hopefully tomorrow. Including the PowerPoint that Madison shared. So anything you heard or saw today in that PowerPoint you will have access to, and as well as all the Q&A, which just takes us a little time to pull together and make sure that we answer correctly.
Awesome.
Thank you for all the thank yous.
From another meeting, I was like, oh, I'm supposed to get another thing. Oh, but a lot of the information will be in the email you said. On
our website.
Right.
On our website, Miss Nadia. This PowerPoint, as well as a document with all the questions that were asked and answers to them, will be on our website by the end of the week.
Okay, great.
Wonderful.
Okay.
What organization are you with?
Acting Up, Acting Out. It is a performance arts-based organization that focuses on building confidence on stage and off, versus just for acting, but just for all around confidence building.
Wonderful. So Madison just dropped the link again to get started. There will be more details there once we have this Q&A document ready.
Awesome. I will.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And there will be a second round.
Okay.
So if the turnaround time is not feasible for you or your organization, there will be a second round.
Thank you. Great.
All right. Well, I think we will say goodbye to all of you. Thank you for joining us. Stay tuned to the website for further information. Madison just added the email that you submit to again, in case you are ready to do that quickly. But that too is on the website, so you can find it all right there.
Great, thanks everyone.
Thank you.